I had like a cartilage fracture to my rib.
And she hit my throat, and I immediately felt my throat close up.
I was a hot mess. I was falling all over the place. My entire body hurt.
I can't remember the players who came over to me and they said, okay, you just got hit in the head.
True, I mean, like, we're athletes and we work really hard, and sometimes we get hurt along the way too.
But, you know, at the end of the day, it's like you can come in here and you can feel this is our safe space.
I work in a male-dominated field, like landscaping and horticulture. It's mostly run by men. It's been a while. You need to be pruned again. He's doing good. I did that one, like this one right here at the top. The Paul saw. It was terrifying. There aren't female mechanics. There aren't female welders. There aren't people in mechatronics. That doesn't happen because women are too either afraid to go into them, don't know they can go into them, or just don't feel comfortable. That's one thing that I love about Derby is gender is not a big concern in the community.
We started renting our warehouse space in 2011, and initially when we tried to reach out to the city to find out, you know, what do we need to do, like is there anything that we need to do, and we kind of always just never really got responses, so we just, you know, continued on about our business.
When I initially came out, like, I was very stable with that my second semester senior year, and then I went directly into grad school. I was in grad school in like rural Ohio, like small town, very heteronormative, very all the kinds of things, like super homogenous, and I think I needed something outside of that. I was finally in a position where I was like, I need to figure out like who I am and like what being queer and like being who I am just like kind of means to myself. Coming to Greensboro, I've definitely found that as well, and like seeing other people that like I share identities with, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be something that we talk about, but it's just like knowing that it's there.
It is a very, very safe space for the whole queer community. So just to know that you can come here and that you're not going to be judged, that you're not going to be treated differently. I mean, several minority skaters too. I mean, you know, it's not just about a safe space for, you know, a certain community. It's almost every community.
Begonias in here, those are more begonias. Now what are these? Oh, these are hibiscus. Oh, these are cool. Jade plants. Oh, it's not. Yeah, it was the darkest time of my life. Like I will openly admit, I was suicidal, I was depressed, I was, you know. This is my favorite plant because it's a Venus flytrap. And you can see this is our little baby. They only use rainwater, so they're kind of hard to keep inside. We have to like put them I probably lost, I would say between 10 and 15 pounds in a month, just because of depression. We look at depressed people as broken or weak, and that's how I felt. I felt really weak all the time. Like I was never meeting that bar, whatever bar I was the depressed me had in my mind. I was never meeting it, and once I started Derby, I could meet that bar, and I could go above that bar. Fuad and I had a Thanksgiving together because my family doesn't really do anything for Thanksgiving. So like I had this kind of thing where I was like, well, what am I gonna do for Thanksgiving? So I called Fuad up.
We had dinner together, and Venus loves trees, so I was like, oh my gosh, it's like some really pretty ginkgo trees on campus. And so we literally went out in the dark.
I collect the leaves, and I just love like the shapes of them because it's like a very unusual shape. Like every leaf is different.
And now, let's give it up for your 5-time home team champions, the Elm Street Nightmare.
And I think for me, like, I kind of found that sense and feeling of home, like, within the people that I was surrounded with in the league. And a lot of it was tied to the warehouse.
About a year and a half ago, last summer, we got a notice from the fire marshal. It was just left on our door, and it said that we were not using the space the way that was designed for it to be used. What we're submitting for, what we were trying to submit for, is a change of use. Every little step along the way, when we would, get those yes to the electrical, yes to the plumbing, yes to the, mechanical, yes to all the different departments. Even when the fire marshal gave us his approval, we were like, oh my gosh, we're finally gonna get it done. And then to hear no, it's really discouraging.
I was fine. I was fine driving there. I was like, I got a cup of coffee, and I pulled in that parking lot, and I was like, what is wrong? This is painful. It's a really sad day here today because we lost our practice space. So right now what we're doing is we are moving all of our equipment out and into storage while we are on a new journey to find a new space. I never thought about the warehouse as like this cool place because it's kind of like, to me, it's a warehouse that smells really bad. It smells terrible in there, or it did. And but then when I realized, I'm like, I'm never gonna get to come here again, ever. This is painful.
Right.
I'm glad I came here because, in all honesty, I'd rather be here and be a part of it than regret not being here. Because that's just my personal view on it, just because, but like I said, it did not hit me until I parked my car right there, and I was like, you fight that emotion. I'm never gonna get that feeling of, everyone pulling up in their cars and going like, oh, hey Bear, hey Burn, hey Decker, hey Smoke, all these people like coming in and, and greeting them and being there and moving into your space together. The energy in that space is there. It can't be described. It really can't. And when you lose the shell that's kind of holding that energy together, that energy needs a place to go. And right now, that's kind of the big struggle, is like, where do we go?
We are without a venue to skate at right now to practice. So that's where we are. And that's been about a 17-month process, so to get to the final no.
Wait, bye.
Oh, we were smiling. It's like sad time. That's true.
You know, to me, right now, my biggest concern is if they go over an hour away, I have to leave. Like, I can't afford it. I can't stay. I can't, because, and then I was talking about this with my, one of my Derby girls was, you know, it's a 2-hour practice, right? But if it's an hour drive both ways, now it's a 4-hour practice. So now your commitment per week has just doubled.
I guess I just think about like what happens if this process is something that takes much longer than we think it's going to take, and then people start leaving the league, and then we have to kind of take it from, you know, a starting place again and go back to square one.
I have not been to a practice since early December, so it's been about 2 months. I kind of feel like I had to break up with roller derby in a lot of ways. You know, you have these little moments where you go, I'm gonna have to leave. I'm gonna have to, you know, quit. To me, when you break up with a person, like whether it's a friend or a romantic partner or a family member or whatever you break up with and get out of your life, you don't do those things with something that's working. You know what I mean? And ultimately I got down to the point with roller derby where I was getting, it was still working, but just like barely. I was barely able to be there. I was barely able to like have the energy to sustain it, and I just said, I don't want to be barely.
As of right now, we're using temporary spaces until we can, I guess, find a permanent home. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're here at High Point City Lake Park. And then Sundays, we go and scrimmage at Skateland South. I guess here it's interesting, like, because we're kind of on tile, and so the floor is usually like kind of dirty. We've like ripped up tiles already because we're aggressive. There are people that live in Virginia. There's people that commute from Chapel Hill. And I think that it's hard because like you're in a sport that you love doing, but also like you have to be mindful of like your lifestyle. If you're doing an hour, you're not getting home from practice until like 10:30 at night.
Just because I left roller derby, my life with these people didn't stop. It's nice to know that regardless of whether I'm quote unquote on their team or not, you know, I'm still part of that and I'm still in the community. No matter what, they're gonna be there for me, you know, in my life. I have a bunch of stickers on that. Trees for life. Trees are the answer, and I heart derby. I feel like I'm burying them.
no matter where we go, as long as it's our own space, it will be like this. And I mean, I guess that's, you know, kind of a shining star. What's kind of right now kind of a cloudy, overcast day is that, you know, it's us. It's the people that we have. It's the community that is roller derby. And as soon as we find a new place, it will be the same. It just is a matter of finding the space. 1, 2, 3.